Thank you, Chairman. I think seems like we have forgotten, the fact that the Russians had so much influence in our presidential election, and that the former president and current candidate for president, the Republican nominee, specifically asked the Russians for help in his last election. So here we are again, witnessing another attempt to undermine a free and fair and secure American election by continuing to sow doubt ahead of the 2024 election. I think that we should be clear about the credibility of the Republican witnesses that we have in front of us today. And I ask, Mr. Chairman, for unanimous consent to enter into the record two documents. One, an article from NBC headline, "Vote Fraud Crusader J. Christian Adams Sparks Outrage," and an article from the Law and Crime headline, "Former Trump Voting Commissioner Official Forced to Apologize for Falsely Accusing People of Voter Fraud." Mr. Adams has a history of making unfounded allegations about illegal voting, allegations that were so egregious and so damaging to innocent people and families that a federal court had to step in. A federal court in 2016 and 2017, Mr. Adams published two reports called Alien Invasion in Virginia that states that thousands of people had illegally registered to vote in Virginia. The report contained an appendix that contained the voter registration forms of alleged non-citizens, including their names, home addresses, and telephone numbers. This blatant attempt to intimidate voters was so egregious that a federal court forced Mr. Adams to provide a written apology on behalf of himself and his organization, PILF. The court also forced PILF to include the following disclaimer. PILF recognizes that individuals in, exhibit whatever, were in fact citizens, and that these citizens did not commit felonies, but were subject to your abuse. PILF profoundly regrets any characterization of those registrants as felons or instances of registration or voting as felonies. It is stunning that this is the type of behavior and witness that we have in front of us today, and that the majority has brought to us, and that these are the witnesses you seem to think have any credibility on any of these issues. Mr. Wallman, it is exhausting to be in this committee dealing with these types of issues. To your knowledge, is there any evidence that non-citizen voting has ever affected the outcome of any election?
I am not aware of any evidence that non-citizen voting has affected the outcome of any federal elections, and I will note that the hearing record that Mr. von Spakovsky keeps waving around is from a quarter century ago, and since then Congress passed the Help America Vote Act, and states happily have vastly improved and greatly upgraded their systems, their voter registration rolls, and the use of computers. Back then it was paper records. So states and officials of both parties have upgraded, and they shouldn't be subject to calumny.
Absolutely. And what would you estimate the chances of non-citizens voting affecting the outcome of the 2024 upcoming election?
There is no reason to think, based on facts, not intuition, that non-citizen voting will affect the outcome of this or any other federal election of significance.
Like millions of Americans, I was horrified, Mr. Chairman, and disgusted by the violent, deadly attack on the Capitol that happened on January 6, 2021. But what made the attack terrifying was that on top of the threat to our democracy and on top of the threat to the peaceful transfer of power, the violent insurrection targeted us, members of Congress and staff who were here working that day. It is our job as members of this committee to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. Mr. Wallman, is there any connection between the lies that the former president and these witnesses, or some of these witnesses, have stated attempted to steal the 2020 election, and the lies about non-citizens voting that at this hearing is spreading today, what would be the impact to this upcoming election?
False allegations about widespread misconduct spurred the January 6th insurrection, even though court after court, 63 courts rejected it. It has spurred unwise voting laws, and I am very worried that it is going to
My
be a
time
factor
is up.
in this
Thank you.
election.
I'm going to yield back, but I'm going to say, should another insurrection occur, it will be at the hands of this committee membership that continues to spread lies about our honest and free
The gentlewoman's
elections.
time
And I
has
yield back.
expired. Ms. Lee.